Hey guys, welcome back to We Watch a Movie. I am Mike. Thanks for spending a minute of your day with me, and thank you to our sponsors, Established Titles. This is the coolest gift you can give to somebody, and it's unexpected. I did it for my wife just a few months back, and it's not what you think. I'm talking about a patch of land in Scotland. 1 square foot of land with your name on it. In Scotland, when you own land, you're officially referred to thereby and so forth as William Wallace. As Lord or Lady. Actually, that's an official thing. You can change your name and put Lord in front of it if you want to. You can put it on your dating profile. Like, I would put Lord Mike Holtz on my plane ticket. That just sounds like something Christopher Nolan would name himself, right? I'm Lord Christopher Nolan, and I'll have a toasted chalupa. People freak out when you give it to them, trust me. Like, I gave one to Michael himself. And check out his reaction. It's gonna blow your mind. You might cry. That's the most excited I've seen him in months. And it's for a good cause too, because every time you do this, they plant a tree somewhere in the world, and this whole idea helps preserve the natural landscape of Scotland. So you're doing something good for somebody, you're doing something good for the world, and you sound badass because you can call yourself a lord or lady. Preferably, I'd like to be called Lady Holtz. I just think it sounds fancy. And they give you a unique plot number, you get the certificate with the crest on it, and by the way, you can put your little patch of land right next to Michael Myers' little patch of land, because the first 200 people who sign up for this using our special code in the link down below will be within walking distance of our little plot. Not only are they having an early Black Friday sale right now, but you also get an extra 10% off using our link below. So click it! So Pray for the Devil, the latest exorcism movie. It feels like it's been a little while, actually, since we had a straight-up exorcism movie. It feels like it was... Is it time yet? Is it time to go back into that dungeon of doo-doo? I don't know, Jim. I don't know if it was. I don't know if it is. But I know we're here, and I know I'm enjoying my life. And I had decent little time with Pray for the Devil. So we had Robert Zappia, the writer of H2O and the writer of this movie, on a few weeks back, and he talked about this movie a little bit with us.
I started reading these articles about there being this like exponential rise globally in possessions. I'm Italian Catholic, so it's always fascinated me ever since The Exorcist. Seeing The Exorcist and it scared the bejesus out of me.
Oh yeah,
right. Just the classic.
Yeah, for sure.
Terrifying. So that to me was interesting just on its own. So, and then they were saying there's a shortage of priests and they don't have enough people, enough clergy to perform these exorcisms. And there's this rise. So it started percolating in my mind like, oh, that's an interesting area.
So the plot for Pray for the Devil is there's this literal school of exorcism, because in 2018, the cases of exorcism rose exponentially. So they decided to open outside of Rome for the first time schools for exorcism. Only thing is, it's like one of their laws, one of their weird little antiquated rules that only priests can do the exorcisms, nuns cannot. So there's this woman who's played by Jacqueline Byers who's amazing in the film. She's just, man, she just has one of those faces that has a bunch of charisma in it. Like, you could just stare at her face for that. I'm making it weird. She kind of reminds me of Kate Mara a little bit, honestly. But she comes from a home where her mother may or may not have been possessed and lived a freaky life, which is sort of what led her to do this for a living and become obsessed with wanting to become the first female exorcism operator. That's not a thing they don't call it that. So there's her whole personal story going on, then this demon who's in town and down to fuck around, and then you've got this school for exorcisms that's going on. So the way they look at things now is they're not sure if someone's possessed or if they've just been listening to too much Kid Rock lately. They put them in this hospital wing, and the nuns help take care of them, and the priests are there, and they have these professionals going through there doing tests and things like that to really find out if they're actually possessed or not. And that's where she works. But just the way they lay this whole thing out, from the classes that are going on to this downstairs like 13 ghost type area, we've got all these people who are maybe possessed in blocks of rooms, and sometimes they'll be like, hey, field trip, let's go downstairs and possess someone. It's just a really cool new wrinkle in the fabric of the possession genre. And that's something we talked to Robert about too, was like, okay, it's kind of like zombies at this point. There's been so many of them. If you're going to bring something to the table, you got to have some new entry point, like zombies that can run, or we're in a mall, or like whatever it is, they each need to have their own little, not, I want to say gimmick, but just something new to bring to the table. And that's this one's. And that's probably the best part of the movie. That stuff is really cool. And the main reason it works so well is because Father Quinn, who's played by Robert Salmon, who is fucking fantastic. I mean, this dude, I just made the reference to the School for Gifted Mutant Peoples, and this dude is Professor X. I mean, the way he speaks, he's so very Patrick Stewartish, man, and just theatric and just has a deep voice. Actually, he'd be a badass Pinhead if they ever did that. But no, he just rules, man. Every time he's on screen, he's just got that commanding ass voice, and he says the coolest shit, and he has the coolest lines. He's fucking awesome. And people won't talk about this because this movie's getting butt rammed right now by Rotten Tomatoes. I think it's like an 18% rotten. But the fan score is like 72%. And now I've said nothing but good things so far. I'm not going to continue to only say good things about the movie. There's definitely problems with it, but that's definitely the best of the movie. That stuff, really cool. And then the in between stuff is where we're going to go now. The entire feel of this movie, though well, that's one more thing. It's filmed really well. Like, the cinematography is gorgeous. The way that they just shoot this school and everything that's going on, just it's beautiful to look at. I love the cinematography. I love how serious it's taken. I love the camera work. All that stuff's awesome, and that stuff's important. When it first starts and like it's still streamlined and it hasn't like tripped itself up yet, you're like, oh shit, we might be in for some wild shit. And there's this little thing they'll do where they'll have this beautifully framed shot, but the camera will just be really just shaking just the slightest bit. Not like found footage crazy, but just the slightest bit. And it's pretty cool. It's a neat little effect that I haven't really seen someone do on purpose before. It's strange. But the whole feel of the movie, the whole attitude of the movie, you can tell that it's well written, and you can tell that there's layers upon this, and there's twists and turns and surprises. There's some really cool stuff that they do. Sometimes it does go right back to the way it's portrayed to you on screen feels very, very old school, kind of generic exorcism movie. The main problem the movie does is it goes too hard at times. Like, there'll be a scene and it's working out, and as I said, well shot, all that stuff. Mainly my problems were with the little girl, not the actress that played her. I just think that they had her trying to do too much. They went too far with the Hollywood stuff. So there was a couple scares that they went for, a couple of them in the trailer where she's like crawling up the wall, and it's not that it's shot bad or that the effects were bad. It's just got this weird, I can't even tell if it's like CGI the way that, of course some of it's CGI, but it just goes too hard. Like, it's like you had a moment there that could have been really creepy if you just scaled it back a little bit and did something with that. But instead, they went for this huge, like at one point, just too powerful. Like, it's just unbelievable when someone's like throwing someone around with their mind. It's too mutiny, not creepy enough. Now I know, like in The Exorcist, there's certain things that are done, but they're earned a certain way, and they're done a certain way. And this felt a couple scenes that were just way too Michael Bay-ish, like Michael Bay horror-ish. And the whole vibe of the movie has a very much The Conjuring spin-offs meet a 2003 film, like a Ghost Ship or something like that, one of those movies that would just get kind of wild and crazy at times with it. But at the heart of it, it's got a very serious story, and they take it seriously. And this is directed, by the way, by the guy who did The Last Exorcism, which is a movie I really enjoyed a lot. So yeah, it's a strange vibe. There's a couple gags that they go for, and they go for it, man. There's a lot of crazy shit in this movie that they do. I mean, there's a whole lot of scenes, and you could tell it was going to be that way from the trailer. Some of them hit. I mean, it is really hit or miss with the jump scares, with the wild scenes, with the exorcism scenes, and the things that they do. There's definitely a couple times watching the movie where I'm like, oh, my goodness, God. Like it had me like freaked out. And then there's other times where I'd go, oh, come on, that was a little cheesy. So it's hit or miss on the scares for sure. Me saying it's like a mid-2000s wide release horror movie is gonna be interesting to some. I like some of those movies. Sometimes I'm in the mood for that vibe of movie. And on the positive side, we don't get a lot of those anymore. Everything takes itself so seriously that it's afraid to have that kind of fun. And then you have the Conjuring spinoffs, which don't feel serious or dangerous enough at all for me. This still felt dangerous. So it was a mix in between the two. Definitely not the most well-oiled thing I've ever seen in my life. Again, there's a couple of those scenes that are just, particularly the one, you see it in the trailer, there's a scene in an ambulance that happens. And it's like, we just went from zero to fucking Michael Bay out of nowhere. And I'm like, that was just, it's not quite believable. That scene in particular, I was like, oh, come on. But then they grab me with another scene a few minutes later. So there's definitely, this is not a movie that I would throw out the baby with the bathwater at all. There's some really good stuff they do. If you're into exorcism films, I absolutely recommend checking out. Virginia Madsen's in it as well. I'll say one particular late shot in the movie involving it. You'll know it when you see, I'll just say taxi cab. It was, I just, oh my God, I don't know why you wouldn't cut that out of the movie. I have no idea what business that just, it went full fucking from like, okay, we're taking this serious. We're doing some crazy stuff, but we're still on the boat. That one shot, it was like, y'all just went full goddamn Ghostbusters, like crazy town on this shot. And it was the most mid-2000s horror movie thing you've ever seen. So I absolutely despise that one moment of the movie. But the rest of it, it's a mixed grab bag. It's a 6 out of 10 for me. There's definitely stuff to enjoy about this. There's great acting. There's some really fun scares. They go for it in this movie. There's a whole fucking Santa Claus bag full of at least them attempting to scare you and it working sometimes. The over Hollywoodization of it wanting to be like a Conjuring thrill ride when they could have scaled it back and it could have been something really special. But there's a lot of great dialogue. There's a lot of great moments in the film. So yeah, it is what it is. It's a little bit of a mixed bag. But horror fans, I say go see it in the theater. It's loud. It's in your face. It's a fun theater movie to see. It's a fun movie to, even the shit that you don't like about it, you can go, oh, what the fuck? A couple of the gags kind of reminded me of like when Sam Raimi gets a little loosey-goosey, he gets a little too crazy with it. And you're like, I'm not sure. I was ready to be scared and now this is getting action-y scary on me. Like kind of that kind of thing. Not when he tries to scare you, but when he's like, I'm just gonna fucking do some skidoo shit over here. It's one of the rare movies where I actually would have loved to see what they did if they took some of the budget away. You know what I mean? If they had to like really get down and gritty with it, it could have been, something more. But I think people will like it a lot. I think there's a reason why the general audience will have fun with it. I think it's obviously got its flaws as a movie, but as a fun time at the theater, as a fun horror movie to watch, especially if you're into a new possession movie, I think audiences will continue to resonate with it. So I actually recommend going to see it. Some of you will hate me for that, and some of you will be like, I had a fucking blasty blast. So 6 out of 10 for me. I'm just rambling at this point. Hey, I love your all's fucking faces. Thanks for giving a shit what I think about movies, and I hope you guys have an amazing day. It's almost Halloween, you bitches. Halloween never ends, suck my fucking dick, and I don't really care what Blumhouse fucking says. Put him in a box, or suck a fucking cock. You can say he's dead, but we all know he's not, yeah. So let's go trick-or-treating, let's go fucking drinking, let's all go rent Pumpkinhead on VHS, cause Halloween never ends.